Hi, my name is Mindy Willis, and I'm the Curriculum and Communication Specialist here at Student Leadership Services. The purpose of this short video is to introduce you to the chapter planning tool and to share with you how you can use it with your students to inspire and support the prevention efforts of your SLS or STAND chapter. Okay, the first thing I wanted to share with you before we dig into the actual planning tool is to give you a little bit of background on what the core work behind the planning tool is. And that is the program from Student Leadership Services, both for the middle school level, which is students taking a new direction or STAND, and at the high school level, SLS, students leading students. And behind each of these programs is a whole child approach to prevention. For our work, this is represented by 4 pillars. The first pillar being the development of a student-led chapter. The second pillar being the development of substance abuse or substance use prevention and safety knowledge. The third pillar being the development of leadership and resiliency skills, and then the last being the development of a prevention environment. We believe that all 4 of these pillars are important to promote positive youth development and prevent alcohol, tobacco, and other drug use. Those 4 pillars are put into practice with what we call key components. And those key components are framed using guiding questions, which are designed to empower chapters to implement student-led prevention programming that meets the needs of their school and community. Those key components are very similar between STAND and SLS, small differences to meet the developmental stages of the students. So key components for SLS are the SLS and National Prevention Initiatives, while at the STAND level, there's a little bit more of a focus on health and safety awareness. The next component is student-led activities, then advisor support, and in STAND, that piece becomes advisor and parent support. In SLS, then community and family support, and then finally SLS support. So each of these key components works together to support the 4 pillars. And the most important factor of those being in those key components, the guiding questions that support both those components and the 4 pillars. So for example, the guiding question for SLS at the high school level for student-led activities: what will we do to build an inclusive, safe, and supportive environment? And how will each activity we plan help improve our school climate and help us reach our chapter goals? So the intent is that each of these guiding questions are designed to promote a conversation between advisors, parents, and students to help them design what prevention looks like in their school and based on their individual needs. Okay, now on to the actual chapter planning tool. The example I'm sharing with you here is an example of a level 1 chapter planning tool, which is a new or beginning chapter at the high school level. At the high school level, we have 5 levels of chapters that represent how each level is progressively more involved, meaning as a chapter becomes larger and more established in their community, the kinds of activities that they engage in will become more complex. And so we have 5 different levels to support that. But for our purpose today, I'm just going to share with you a level 1. For STAND, we just have 1 chapter planning tool. And again, the layout is almost essentially the same. So for our purposes of sharing here today, I'll just share the level 1 for SLS. So as you can see on the left, these are the key components and guiding questions that I shared a couple minutes ago, earlier in the video. And so these questions can be used to help drive the content and the activities that your chapter engages in throughout the year. And so you'll notice across the top here are the months of the year. And it has a second page here, and that takes it through the rest of the year. So we've done our very best to keep this for SLS condensed to 2 pages. So you'll notice the sentences and descriptions are very brief, but the idea of this tool is not for it to be prescriptive or for your chapter to think that you have to do all of these things in all of these boxes. That is not the intent of this tool. The intent of the tool is to inspire your chapter and give your chapter ideas, and to help you see how the 4 pillars play out amongst each of these 4 components across the year. And so once I'm finished going over this with you, I'll show you the blank planning tool that is supplemental to this, where you and your students can work together to come up with a plan that meets the needs of your school community. So back to across the top, I'll go back to August here. So the SLS and national initiatives are those key events across the year that are either put on by SLS or initiatives, prevention-related initiatives by state and national and even international organizations. So you'll notice across the top up here, Suicide Prevention Awareness Month is in September, so we've attached some links to resources there for you. Red Ribbon Week is in October, and the youth.gov site related to Red Ribbon Week is there. So if at some point during your school year, you and your students decide, oh, we'd like to do something connected to any of these events, you have easy access to the most reputable resources attached to those initiatives. Then the next row of student-led activities, these are ideas for student-led activities to help build, again, a safe, a supportive, and inclusive environment. And again, you're not obligated to do any of these things. These are merely suggestions or ideas to get the conversation started. The next row for advisor support is talking about how can you empower students and promote leadership and engagement. And you'll notice some repetition of headings in this section, and we've done that intentionally because we feel there are some very specific actions that an advisor takes that allows them to promote leadership and engagement. So you'll notice here student support and engagement, student support empowerment, communication and outreach. Here's another one of student support and engagement. So you'll notice that across the year, some of those that repeat. As far as the community and family support section, again, we found some recurring themes. One of those are related to sponsorship and reciprocation. That is, what kind of financial support might you seek from your community? And then how can you reciprocate and come up with a mutually beneficial relationship? How can you thank them? What can you do for that business or that community organization in exchange for them supporting your chapter? Okay, and then the last row there is SLS support. So, and under this section, this is the kind of support that we are going to push out, excuse me, to chapters. So what kind of training can you expect? What kind of resources will come your way? And so in the Google Classroom, we will push those out, these resources out to you on a monthly basis, and those will be posted in the classroom. Of course, you can access any of these resources at any time by using your old SLS flash drive, or we have just migrated the content from the flash drive into Google Classroom, and we'll update that as we work through the school year. You'll also notice in this section are some live video links. These are some of the videos that we have created as we've gone through our COVID pandemic and work at home time. We created videos related to specific topics that we thought might be helpful, both for your chapters and for students in general, if you're a classroom teacher. And so there are links to those videos there. We've put them throughout the planning tool, but of course, when you use them is completely up to you. And you can find all of those on our YouTube channel at SLS Today MI. So that's an overview of the Level 1 Chapter Planning tool. I'm going to go ahead and share with you the blank planning tool now so you can see the difference between the two. Let me go ahead and stop my recording here. All right, so now I'd like to take a look at a blank version of the planning tool. So if you remember, I mentioned earlier in the video, the planning tool is meant to inspire your chapter and is not meant to be prescriptive. And I think this is especially important right now because so many of you are in such different situations. We have some who are exclusively online. We have many schools that are hybrid, and we have some that are in person. So it's really important that you adapt this to meet your particular needs. So what we did with the blank planning tool is we took out all of the content in the student-led, advisor support, and community support sections. And we left you with the initiatives at the top and our support at the bottom. These are things that are going to happen regardless of what work your chapter chooses to engage in. So by leaving these things here, you can see what is available to you in specific months, and then use this centerpiece and these guiding questions to help you and your students work together to come up with what your year looks like for you. And so, of course, obviously, you can go ahead and make copies of these. We've provided viewing access for everyone. So if you want to go ahead and print this out, save it to your Google Drive as a teacher or an advisor, or if you set up a Google Classroom with your chapter, you can do that as well. So you can just make a copy of it and use it as needed. So that's it for the overview of the planning tool. If you have any additional questions, please reach out to Dawn or myself, and stay tuned for another video that Dawn and I will be creating that digs a little deeper into the action planning process and how to use this chapter planning tool to do so. Thanks again for listening, and we look forward to our continuing to work together with you to help support you and your students.